All right, let's dive in. Genesis chapter 7, 8, and 9. We're talking Noah's Ark, right? The flood, the whole shebang.
Yeah, yeah, epic story for sure.
But it's more than just, a Sunday school story, right?
Oh, absolutely. Way more.
There's judgment and mercy, the power of hope, even responsibility for, well, the planet.
I mean, these chapters really hit some deep questions, about like what it means to be human, our relationship with, well, with God, big stuff.
So Genesis 7, right off the bat, we've got a pretty dramatic scene. God tells Noah, build an ark, round up your family, 2 of every kind of animal, and then bam, flood.
It's pretty intense, right? Genesis 7.4 even says 7 days and I'm going to make it rain for 40 days and 40 nights, wiping out, well, pretty much everything.
It's hard to fathom the scale of it, the destruction. It does make you think about consequences, like when we stray from, I guess, what's considered right. And the obedience of Noah, wow, can you imagine building this massive ark, gathering all those animals, no Home Depot, no Google to help?
And think about it. He had to go against everything everyone else was doing. Probably got laughed at, told he was crazy.
It makes you think about the times in your own life, right? When you're called to do something hard, maybe even seems impossible.
Yeah, real faith. Does it mean being willing to stand out, even if everyone thinks you're nuts?
It's a powerful idea. I know I've hesitated sometimes, when what I believe goes against the flow. But with Noah, those actions, the different ones, they saved humanity, life on Earth, right?
Right. What if, and just hear me out, what if doing what we feel is our purpose, even if it's hard, has bigger consequences? Not just for us, but for everyone who comes after.
Wow. Okay, so we go from destruction, judgment, all that to Genesis 8. The water goes down, Noah, family, the animal, they come out, like, onto a new world, fresh start, all that.
It's a clean slate, right?
Yeah.
But not just physically. Genesis 8.21, God's saying, I'm done cursing the ground because of humans. Yeah, their hearts are kind of messed up from the start, but I'm not wiping out everything again. Like a new deal,
Yeah, and that dove coming back with an olive branch, it's such a powerful image, peace, new beginnings, the whole thing.
Then there's the rainbow. God's covenant with Noah, saying no more worldwide floods, hope, reconciliation, even after all that loss. It's pretty amazing.
It makes me think, when you feel like you've hit rock bottom, like it's all over, there's always a chance to start over, to learn from it and do better.
Totally. But it's on us, isn't it, to really learn from those hard times personally and as a society, to make those new beginnings actually count.
So Genesis 9, God keeps his promise about the flood, but Noah and everyone after him, they've got this big job.
And it's not just go have lots of kids, though that's in there. Genesis 9.7 says, be fruitful and multiply, yeah, but also bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. It's stewardship. We're supposed to take care of everything,
That's a heavy responsibility, especially now with everything going on, climate change, social justice, how we treat each other, the planet. Are we doing a good job? Really?
Yeah. It's a big question each of us has to answer, Stewardship, the way Genesis talks about it, it's like we've got to look at our impact, what we do, think bigger than just ourselves.
It makes you think about how people interpret that stewardship idea today, right? You've got environmental groups, social justice advocates, people fighting for animal rights, all coming from this one ancient story.
It's incredible how relevant it still is,
Yeah.
But it does raise the question, how do we balance all that? Which parts matter most?
Man, that's a tough one. I guess it depends on who you are, what you believe, but you can't really care for the planet if you don't care about the people on it and the animals too, right?
Absolutely. It's all connected, Helping the environment helps people be healthier. Social justice often leads to better ways of doing things that help the planet. And being kind to animals, it makes us more compassionate overall, which can then help fight injustice everywhere.
Right, it's like a chain reaction, do good in one place, it spreads out everywhere. But I want to shift gears for a minute. There's this theme of forgiveness that runs through these chapters too. Yeah, we talked about judgment, consequences, but there's also this sense of like redemption, a second chance.
The flood itself, it's like a wiping the slate clean. But even while that's happening, there's forgiveness there, this idea that we can start over. Genesis 8.21, God says, look, humans are going to mess up, but I'm not going to destroy everything again.
Yeah.
To move towards mercy.
Like no matter how badly you screw up, you can always find your way back. It's powerful stuff, but it makes me wonder, how do we forgive? Can we always forgive when someone really hurts us?
Oh, man. That's a deep question, one people have been debating forever. Forgiveness is hard, especially when you've been hurt bad. It means letting go of anger, wanting revenge, choosing to understand instead.
It can feel wrong to forgive someone who's hurt you, There's this quote, by Desmond Tutu. He said, "There's no future without forgiveness." Makes you think, holding on to anger, it hurts you more than the other person, right?
That's so true. And there's actual science behind it. Forgiving, it can lower your stress, make you healthier, improve relationships. It can even stop violence in communities, whole societies even.
It makes me think of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa. Forgiving after apartheid, as hard as that was, it totally changed their country for the better.
It shows forgiveness can change the world, not just one person, but everyone. It brings people together, helps build a world that's fairer, more caring.
And that ties back to hope, right? Forgiveness makes space for hope to grow. It lets you move on, see a better future for yourself and for everybody.
It's like forgiveness is brave, choosing to believe things can heal even when it hurts so much. It's beautiful, really.
And maybe that's the biggest message of the flood story. After all that destruction, loss, hope, and forgiveness can make a new beginning. We can come back from anything.
Yeah. The human spirit, it's amazing. We can overcome anything, learn from mistakes, build a better world. And these old stories, they're still so powerful. They inspire us, challenge us, help us on our own journeys.
So true. And with that, I think we need to take a break. We'll be back with part 2 of our deep dive, looking even closer at these incredible stories, forgiveness, hope, and what it means to be human. You won't want to miss it. So before we move on, I got to say, all this talk about different kinds of stewardship, it's really got me thinking.
Yeah, it's wild, right? How it plays out in the real world. You've got groups all about protecting nature, fighting climate change.
Right, like saving the forests, the oceans, all that. And then there's the social justice folks, making sure everyone has a fair shot, education, opportunity, all that.
Oh, and can't forget about the animal welfare folks. They do so much to protect animals, make sure they're treated right.
It's like so many ways to be a steward, to take care of things, and it all goes back to this one really old story.
It shows you how powerful these stories are, right? They give us a way to think about how to live, how to be good, and it applies to all these big issues we're dealing with today.
Yeah, but then it makes you wonder, how do we decide which parts are most important? Is one kind of stewardship like better than another?
That's a tough one. Maybe it depends on what you believe, what's important to you, but I think we got to remember they're all connected.
You're right. You can't really take care of the planet without taking care of people and all the animals too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think about it. Healthy environment, healthy people. And when you fight for justice, well, that often means finding better ways to do things, which helps the planet.
And being kind to animals, it makes us more, I don't know, more human, more caring, and that helps us fight injustice everywhere, for everyone.
Totally. It's like one good thing leads to another, spreads out, changes everything. But can we switch gears a bit? I want to talk about forgiveness. It's a big part of these chapters, too.
Yeah, good point. We've been focusing on the heavy stuff, judgment, all that. But Genesis, it also talks about redemption, second chances.
Right. The flood, in a way, it's like a reset button for humanity. But even while that's happening, there's this message of forgiveness, like a new start is possible.
Genesis 8.21, God's like, I know humans mess up, but I'm not giving up on them. It's a total shift from punishment to mercy.
Yeah, it's like saying, no matter how far you go down the wrong path, you can always come back. You can always be good.
It's so hopeful, But it's hard, isn't it, to forgive? I mean, really forgive when someone does something awful to you.
Man, that's the million-dollar question. Philosophers, theologians, everyone's been wrestling with that one forever.
Forgiving, it's tough, especially when you've been hurt, betrayed. It means letting go of all that anger, the desire for revenge. It's not easy.
You almost feel like you shouldn't forgive, like it's letting the other person off the hook. But there's this quote, I love it, Desmond Tutu said, "No future without forgiveness." Think about that.
It's like holding on to the anger, the bitterness. It poisons you more than the person who hurt you.
Yeah, and it's not just like a feel-good thing either. Studies show forgiveness, it actually makes you healthier, less stressed, better relationships. It can even reduce violence in communities, even whole countries.
It makes me think about what happened in South Africa after apartheid. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, they focused on forgiveness, healing, and it changed everything. It was amazing.
Powerful example of how forgiveness, even when it seems impossible, it can literally heal a nation, bring people together, build a better world.
And that brings us back to hope, doesn't it? Forgiveness. It opens the door for hope to come in. It lets you move on, imagine a better future for yourself, for everyone.
You said it. Forgiveness is like an act of courage. Choosing to believe in healing, in redemption, even when it hurts so bad. It's beautiful.
And maybe, just maybe, that's what the flood story is really about. Even after the worst disaster, the worst loss, hope, and forgiveness can make a new beginning.
It's about resilience, the human spirit, that never give up attitude. It's a message for everyone. No matter what you believe, it's about what makes us human, you know?
It's pretty amazing, and I think that's a good place to stop for now. But don't worry, we'll be back with the final part of our deep dive. We'll be exploring even more of these incredible themes, what it means to be human, and the power of these ancient stories. Stay tuned.
Wow, it's amazing, isn't it? Thinking about everything we've covered, Genesis 7 through 9, it's just so much there, so many layers.
Yeah, you hit it. It's not a simple story, is it? We've got judgment, renewal, stewardship, forgiveness,
Yeah.
all in this one epic tale of, well, basically, the world ending and starting over.
It's crazy how relevant it still is,
Mhm.
thousands of years old, but it still speaks to us today. But what it means to be human, our place in the world, the big questions.
It really makes you think about our relationship with God, with each other, with nature. Those big themes, they keep coming back, don't they? Totally. We talked about the flood as judgment, the rainbow as a promise, the covenant as like our job to take care of things. But there's something else that connects it all, I think. Faith.
You're right. It all comes back to faith, doesn't it? Noah's story, it's all about faith. Believing even when you don't know for sure. Trusting that things will get better, that there's something bigger than us out there.
I mean, think about it. Building that ark, gathering all those animals, everyone probably thought he was crazy, but he did it anyway just because he believed.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
He had no proof, no science to back him up, just faith. Makes you wonder, what does that mean for us today? Are we willing to take those leaps of faith to do what we believe is right, even when it's hard, even when everyone else thinks we're nuts?
It's scary, isn't it? Especially nowadays where everything has to be logical, proven, but sometimes you just got to trust your gut, that inner voice telling you which way to go.
Absolutely. Some things, the really important things, you can't explain them with logic. You just got to have faith, trust that there's more to it than we can understand.
And that's where hope comes in, right? Faith without hope, it's like a plant without water, it can't grow. Hope is that belief that even when things are bad, really bad, there's still a chance for things to get better.
And that dove coming back to the ark with that olive branch, that's hope right there. Life coming back after the storm, nature healing itself, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like a reminder that no matter how tough things get, there's always a reason to keep going, to believe that things can change. Just like after the flood, life started over. And we can too. We can come back from anything.
It's about resilience, the human spirit. It's unbreakable.
Mhm.
We learn from our mistakes, we grow, and we keep moving forward. And that's what this story is all about, really.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Mm.
And I think that's a good place to wrap things up. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
We have. From destruction to renewal, judgment to forgiveness, it's been quite a journey through Genesis 7 through 9.
It just goes to show you, these ancient stories, they still have so much to teach us about ourselves, about the world, about how to live a good life. It's been a real privilege to explore them with you today.
Likewise,
Yeah.
it's always fascinating to dive deep into these texts to see how they resonate with us even thousands of years later.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope you've enjoyed this deep dive as much as we have. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep searching for those hidden gems of wisdom, both in these ancient stories and in your own lives.